Hello Hanji Kidda, what's up people? Back with another video, and today we're previewing Ipswich Town versus Newcastle United. Before we get into anything though, you know we got to do the shout outs. Massive shout outs to Angel Care Homes for all your care needs in the Black Country and Birmingham area. Massive shout outs to Mark Darcy for all your formal menswear needs. And of course the Desi Ballers, highlighting all South Asians at all levels in the beautiful game. I'll put their details in the description, so make sure you check them out. And if you're brand new here, or if you ain't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button and turn the notifications on. Now let's get to it. So on Saturday, Ipswich Town will be playing Newcastle United for only the 9th time in the Premier League, but it will be the 52nd meeting between both teams. So far, we played each other, like I said, 51 times. And during that time, Newcastle have won 17 games. There's been 16 draws. And Town have edged it with 18 wins. The last time we played each other though, you've got to go back to 2017, April of that year. Town won 3-1 that day. I think that was the season that Newcastle then got promoted back to the Prem. Freddie Sears, David McGoldrick, and of course Emir Hughes on the score sheet for Town that day. But like I said, we've only played each other 8 times in the Premier League. During those times, there's been 3 draws, there's been 4 wins for Newcastle, and Town, we've only beaten Newcastle once in the Premier League. The last time we actually played each other in the Premier League, you got to go back to March 2002. Yes, that relegation season. Marcus Bent at the double. We were actually 2-1 up in that game, and then Alan Shearer struck late on to get a point for Newcastle. That was that time of season where we went on a bit of a run, and I think I'm correct in saying that at the time, Marcus Bent equalled Van Nistelrooy's goal scoring record for consecutive games scoring a goal, which obviously Jamie Vardy broke later on, I think during Leicester's championship winning season. Last time we played Newcastle in the Premier League at Portman Road was December 2001. On that day, we did lose 1-0. Mr. Norberto Solano popped up with a goal that day for Newcastle. And like I said, the last time we did beat him in the Prem, it's only been one time, but you got to go back to April 2001. That was the season we were back in the Premier League for the first time. We did finish 5th that season, and we did beat Newcastle at Portman Road. Norberto Solano involved again, as he was deemed to be given a deliberate handball. I think Mike Dean actually sent him off. It was Mike Dean that day, but I think he sent him off, and Marcus Stewart converted from 12 yards to give Town the 3 points that day. So when it comes to playing Newcastle, whilst we have edged the overall head-to-head, we're definitely due another win over them in the Premier League. Like I said, Newcastle is a club that myself and many Town fans, we've got kind of a bit of soft spot for, fond memories over the years, be it the connections, not just the players. Obviously, the most notable connection being Sir Bobby Robson. You know, all the amazing things he did for Ipswich well before my time. And then during, you know, my lifetime, I remember him being Newcastle manager, getting them to the Champions League. And I remember actually him saying during that season that if Newcastle qualified for the Champions League, he would do cartwheels down St James's Park. Obviously, they went to qualify and no one held Sir Bobby to that anyway. But yeah, real fond memories. You know, you think about what Sir Bobby did and how he put Ipswich on the map on the global scale. You know, we still sing about him every match day. I remember when he did come back for the first time playing against Ipswich, obviously as a Newcastle manager at the time. And when our old neighbour that lived opposite, big up Jeff, he was a steward at the time. And he got me Sir Bobby Robson's autograph, which I don't know where it is, you know. It might still be somewhere in the house in Ipswich. Or it might be in the loft somewhere. But I do need to dig that out. But yeah, somewhere there is a match programme with Sir Bobby Robson's signature on there, which my neighbour got done for me, which was very kind of him. Never met the legend Sir Bobby, but obviously there was a few other connections as well. I made a few notes in terms of players I remember. So obviously most notable was Kieran Dyer. As I've said before on this pod or show or whatever we call it, Kieran Dyer was one of the player that made me fall in love with Town. And he's one of my all-time favourite players. Probably up there with Darren Bent, Matt Holland and Sammy Morsey now. So yeah, man, You know, Kieran Dyer, I remember him signing for, I think it was 7 million quid at the time, which was big money. Young player, did a lot for Newcastle. Probably overlooked a few times in those England squads, and maybe if it was a different type of England manager, we had more England caps. And obviously, Dyer did have quite a lot of injuries. Although a lot of people, when you think of Kieran Dyer and Newcastle, you think about Lee Bowyer and that bust up on the halfway line against Villa all those years ago. Other players, Titus Bramble, again, really good performer for us in his, well, it wasn't his breakout season, but he come through the academy, come through the ranks for us, did well in the debut Premier League season as well. You know, we think about that. Was it against Sunderland or Southampton where he just drives up the pitch and then ends up finishing it in the back of the net? Bit of inconsistency when I guess he signed for Newcastle, but the few Newcastle fans I've spoken to said, you know, they had fond memories of Titus there. Obviously, Darren Ambrose, another one, you know, another academy product that obviously went through the ranks, and we sold him during our. Well, no, he went to Charlton and then he went to. Darren Ambrose, another player, you know, absolute quality midfielder. You think about, you know, he could strike a ball, he could pass a ball. But he went to Newcastle as well, quite a young age, and he had a great career in the Premier League. Alex Maffey, obviously, played for both as well. Andros Townsend, he obviously had a bit of a stint for us, and I think he went for about 10 million quid to them. You know, he had a bit of an up and down time at Newcastle. Who else did we have? Danny Simpson, he was another one. Obviously, we had him on loan, but he played for Newcastle. And then obviously Mr. Daryl Murphy, you know, when we didn't get promoted that season through the playoffs, did he sign for them and then from there go to Forest? Yeah, I think they signed him for about 3 million quid, and then from that he went to Forest from Newcastle. But yeah, you know, several players over the years that have kind of played for both, and I know there's more as well, and there's probably some more from before my time as well. But like I said, it's a club that myself and other it's a club that myself and other town fans, we've got a real soft spot for. And you know what? I love going up Newcastle, man. It's a wicked city. Big up all the Geordies and that. I'm not going to attempt to do the Newcastle accent, because although I think I can do it, I'll probably end up upsetting a few Newcastle folks. So going into Saturday, obviously just looking at league form anyway. So Newcastle's last 5 games, they've won 1, they've drawn 2, and they've lost 2. I think they come on the back of 2 losses, 2 draws, and then they hit a win last weekend against Leicester. Well, it was at home. It was at St James's Park, and they beat them 4-0. I know they beat Brentford, was it, in midweek in the other day in the Kebab Cup, so they're through to the next round on that. But the other thing is that they want to look at, I guess, back-to-back wins and building on those wins, just like we want to as well. And earlier on in the season, they did get a couple of back-to-back wins as well. Obviously, it's a club that spent a lot of money. They've had I say a lot of money. They've had a lot of investment in there, and they're trying to, you know, just like how City did many years ago, they're trying to grow to the next level. And we'll talk about key players and lineups in a minute as well. I know there was a lot of criticism, all the rest of it, about where the money's come from, all this and all the rest of it. I mean, I don't want to get too political or anything, but I don't see an issue with it, man. If it's competition, it's competition. They'll have to go to the normal, the fair play rules and all the rest of it. So, you know, as long as they adhere to that, I don't see what the problem is. But maybe that's me being naive or whatever. And like I said, I don't want to get political. And also maybe it's the fact that, you know, I got a little bit of a soft spot for Newcastle United. So like I said, they have only got 1 win in the last 5. And obviously that's 1 win since the last international break. So just looking at some kind of breakdown in terms of home v away form. So they've played 8 games at home and 8 games away as well. So their home form, out of the 8 games, they've won 4, drawn 2, lost 2, giving them 14 points, which gives them an average of 1.75 points per game. Their away form, however, they've won 2, drawn 3, and lost 3, giving them 9 points with an average of 1.13 points per game. So they don't travel as well as they do at home. And obviously, you think about St James's Park and what a magnificent stadium, a massive stadium that is. And especially in the northeast as well, football is very much like a religion. You don't see Man United tops in Newcastle or anything like that. You literally only see the northeast teams as well. So obviously at home it's a big atmosphere, but away, like I said, they haven't travelled well away, and they've only got a few wins away. So the fact that they've only won 2 games away out of a possible 8 gives me a bit of hope. But they are a team full of quality players. I think about Newcastle over the years, and I mentioned some of the players that have played for both. But we mentioned earlier like Norberto Solano, people like Laurent Robert, what a player he was. Johan Caboy, again another player, brilliant. Got back to Fastonio Asprilla, Les Ferdinand, obviously Alan Shearer, Jermaine Genius. I remember when he burst on the scene and the commentary being genius by name, genius by nature, or whatever. And then obviously keepers like, Shay Given, what a goalkeeper, what a servant he was for the club. But yeah, it's a club that has always had real talented players. And obviously it's a club that are very proud, and, they was very close under Keegan to winning that Premier League title. And I genuinely do feel that, with the investment they've got and the next kind of level or the next stage, whoever that next manager that comes in the next couple of years for them, they're going to be the one to get Newcastle a Premier League title. But this ain't all about bigging up Newcastle United and all the rest of it, because come 3 o'clock on Saturday, I'm going to be cussing them and I hate them, and every Newcastle player is going to be getting some sort of booing or whatever, especially that bloody scummer that they've got. So when I look at Newcastle, they do play, their standard 4-3-3 formation, and they do obviously like to exploit that space. They've obviously got wingers, but then the 2 kind of wide midfielders, if you like, they like to get forward as well. So teams that are going to kind of press them and get forward, it plays into their hands. Obviously, teams that kind of do the low block or park the bus or whatever you want to call it, that's a bit more difficult for them, and they can't really break it down too tough. So, we know how we are at home, and we're not the team to sit back. And I'll get into team lineups and what my prediction is, but, there's going to be space behind, and we've just got to hope that, our centre backs and our goalkeeper are on job like they have been the last couple of games, and we can deal with everything that comes at us. So I've gone for a predicted lineup, which I'll put on the screen now. So obviously we know Nick Pope is out injured still, so that Dubrovka, I think that's how you say his name, put him in goal. Obviously the young lad that they've got, Lewis Hall, left back. Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw, I think that's his first name, but Shaw in the centre back positions, and in that Livramento as well, right back again. A young, was he an academy product? I think he was their academy, but I know he's obviously a young English player as well. And if we look at how they're lined up against Leicester and also Brentford, Joe Linton was there. However, he did pick up his 5th yellow of the season against Leicester, so he's going to be suspended. So it's either going to be Longstaff or Willock. I think Longstaff probably offers a bit more. So I've put Longstaff in the team there. Tonali in the middle. Hopefully he's not putting on any hackers, and he's deleted his Bet365 account or whatever it is. And then on the right, their captain Bruno Gomes. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Very good player. And in that front three, I think that front three is very dangerous, and obviously they've got people on the bench that can change it. So Anthony Gordon, he's really stepped up his game since going to Newcastle. He's taken it to another level since being at Everton. Murphy as well, Scummer. As much as we hate him and we're going to be booming on Sunday, when it clicks for him, it clicks. And I think, did he bag 2 against Leicester? But he's been bagging it lately, so he's got pace, he can get behind. And Isak, man, what a player he is. Like, he's a player that he needs to be winning trophies, man. He's got the feet, he's got the power, he's got the pace, and he's got the shot, man. He's a very good player, man. So he's someone that our defence is going to have to be, keep an eye on and make sure that we nullify their threat, really. So in terms of how I think Town will line up then, so I've gone for a very similar team that was out against Wolves last week with a few changes. So again, a 4-2-3-1 formation. Muric in goal, Leif Davis, the Geordie, against his boyhood club. He'll be at left back. Cam Burgess, Super Cameron Burgess, left centre back. Dara O'Shea, right centre back. And here's where I've made the first change. I'm bringing in Ben Johnson for Harry Clark. And then in the midfield, again, same midfield that was there against Saturday. Arguably our best starting pair. So Jens Kajust next to Sammy Morsey. And then here's another change. So obviously we know Smodics missed out through illness, so it wasn't like a major injury. A couple of lemsips or a little brandy or something. Hopefully that sorted him right out. So I've brought Smodics in for Wes Burns. Chaplin keeps his place in the number 10. As I've said many times before, he is suited to Premier League football. We look more exciting and more on the front foot when Chaplin's on the pitch. And then on the right wing, obviously, Starboy, Mr. Amari Hutchinson. And then up top is the final change I'm making. As we know, Liam Delap is out with a suspension because that little spat that happened after the 90th minute with Rat Nouri. So I'm putting Ali Al-Hamidi up front. Now, I know there's been some conversation and some chatter online about, who starts in that number 9 role now that, obviously, Liam Delap's out with a suspension. And I know, yes, Sammy Smodics has scored lots of goals in the Championship, but you want to play to his strength. And this is not a disrespect to Sammy Smodics, but he doesn't win a lot of balls in the air. And when you're going up against Shaw and Dan Burn, you've got to be on job and you've got to have that strength and you've got to win those flick-ons and all the rest of it. Ali's shown that in the few cameos that he's come on. Even Wolves, he was unlucky not to score. So, I don't know. I just think, I get it. Maybe you might want to rest him so you've got something to add coming off the bench. But, I would play Ali Al-Hamidi because, and like I said on the Wolves match review, I think a goal is coming for him soon. Like I said, Joe Linton is out with a suspension, having reached that 5 yellow cards. Same with Liam Delap. And then obviously we've got Sammy Morsey, who's on 4 yellow cards, and Newcastle have Sandro Tonali, who is also on 4 yellow cards. So both of those players will walk in a bit of a tightrope. And as we know, the yellow card ban gets reset on the 30th or at the end of the Chelsea game. So there's only a few more games to get through. Hopefully Sammy gets there. And I guess Newcastle will be hoping the same for Tonali. So the man in the middle is Mr. Stuart Atwell. Stuart Atwell has already refereed Ipswich Town once this season. That was at home against Aston Villa in that 2-2 draw. No major controversies, but more criticisms in terms of, I think Morgan Rogers was lucky to be on the pitch, same as Tielemans. The blatant fouling that was happening in front of him, he was kind of oblivious to it. And then he missed Delap's head injury while Delap was down. And then he was being a little rat with Leif Davis in the corner. I think it was the corner when he was trying to take the corner. Just checking it was on the line and all the rest of it. It was like, mate, come on, man. Relax. It's not that deep. So his record for Ipswich, he's refereed us 13 times. There's been 1 loss, 4 draws and 8 wins. In terms of Newcastle, Stuart Atwell has refereed them 28 times. There's been 9 losses, 4 draws and 15 wins. And the last time he refereed Newcastle, you've got to go back to November 2023. And that's when he refereed the game between Newcastle and Arsenal at St James's Park, where Newcastle ran out the eventual winners. And then I think literally a week or a few weeks before that, he also refereed the game between Newcastle and Sheffield United, which finished Newcastle 8, Sheffield United 0. Interestingly enough, he's never shown a red card to either Newcastle United or Ipswich Town players during his time refereeing them. So, it probably makes sense now why Tielemans and Morgan Rogers wasn't sent off. He likes to use his discretion. But I'm hoping it's a controversy-free game. I'm hoping he gets to the same levels that we've seen with Anthony Taylor. And, you know, come 4:45, 5 o'clock on Saturday, we're not even thinking about the referee because there's been no issue. We've got the win and we're buzzing. So in terms of score prediction then, like I said, it's going to be a tough game and I think we're going to concede. As much as I'd like us to say we'd get a win and my heart is kind of saying we might edge this, I think we've got to be realistic and also show Newcastle a bit of respect here. So I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going for a Desmond 2-2. So hopefully you found all that informative and it give you all the information and the lowdown on what you needed to know for this game, be it if you're an Ipswich fan or a Newcastle fan. And if you are a Newcastle fan, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. And obviously if you're a Town fan watching this and you haven't subscribed, what are you playing at? Hit subscribe, smash the like and turn the notifications on. And don't forget, all these match previews and the match reviews are all on Spotify. So this, if you're watching it now and you want to listen to it on your journey or your commute or whatever, you can by just looking for the Blue Army Breakdown with Cali Bisla on Spotify. And yeah, man, hopefully you all enjoyed that. But yeah, man, like I said, it's a Desmond for me. I'm going for a 2-2 and a real solid performance. And I'll catch you all on Saturday. See you next time, peeps.